Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TLT Talks Live. I am taking a break from the beautiful Williamsburg waterfront. I'm alone in my home office. Debbie, Sarah, Mike, how's it going, everybody? Um, Today's kind of exciting. I'm literally in my house. The kids are out. The wife is out. The nanny's out. It's quiet. I don't know what's going to happen. At any minute, everyone can come barging in. But this is it. This is life today. Sarah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Eugene?
I'm good. It's so quiet here. I don't know. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm so nervous. Moment now. The doorbell's gonna ring. The dog's gonna bark. The kids are gonna barge in.
Take advantage of every second. You don't get these often.
I know, it's crazy. It's so nuts.
Yeah.
But, gentlemen, we have an amazing show for you today. I have the pleasure of bringing on the one and only, the human responsible for the life of the human you see in front of you right now, the mother of Sarah Katz. There it is.
Guys,
Deductions.
I'm so excited to give you and let's share my mom with you. So she doesn't have an Instagram. She's using mine. I'll let you take it away from here. Enjoy, everyone.
Thank you, Cindy Katz.
Hi,
The cat's heard. How's it going, Cindy? How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you, Eugene?
I am. It's quiet. Not you
What?
at all. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had the fight of keep the kids down, because my place, I have this up here. Take care, and it's just open. It's like open to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you the number of times that I'm in, Zooms or whatever with developers, with clients, and the kids are going nuts. Like this is exciting. This kind of quiet is it's quite exciting.
And I've had a number of Zoom meetings where the dog starts barking or they decide to mow the grass outside the house. Yeah, it's
Well, listen, this is
been interesting.
it's right. It's naive to think that it's going to be business back to usual ever. Right?
Mhm.
With that, gosh, you have so many wonderful titles. You've been doing this. You've been a supervising attorney with Queen's Legal Service for over 3 decades. You're an absolute thought leader in this field. And so, rather than me say all these things, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself. Your back.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Cindy Katz. I'm an attorney with an organization called Queen's Legal Services. And Queen's Legal Services is part of the Legal Services for New York City network. We have offices in every borough, Brooklyn Legal Services, Manhattan Legal Services, Bronx Legal Services, Staten Island. We provide free legal assistance to low-income New Yorkers, and we do a lot of good work for people who live in New York City.
Very nice. And if someone wanted to get in touch with yourself or your firm, how would they do that?
Okay, so if they're looking to get in touch with the office because they have a legal problem that they want assistance with, they should call our helpline. It's a citywide helpline, 917-661-4500. And there are specially trained paralegals at the helpline who will interview them with respect to some demographic information that we need to get from them, and some contact information, and then a little bit of information about what their legal problem is. And then they'll refer it to the appropriate office and the appropriate attorney or paralegal in that office for a call back.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, look, COVID hits about 3 months ago. The government did the best they could in providing subsidy and clarity information. But I think for most people that participated on a business level with the loans or on a personal level with unemployment or whatever, I think it was anything but clear and simple. So with that, let's jump into unemployment. I know that unemployment was a very big thing. It still is a very big thing. So anything you care to share to simplify, provide any clarity around this topic?
So usually, New York State has an unemployment insurance benefits program, and basically, if you lose your job through no fault of your own, you're entitled to receive unemployment insurance benefits, and the amount of the benefits you receive are based on what your average salary was over the course of the 1 year, 1.5 year period immediately preceding when you lost your job. Now, normally on the New York State unemployment insurance benefits, people who work as independent contractors or people who are self-employed are not always eligible for unemployment insurance benefits. And one of the things that the CARES Act, the coronavirus, I forget the exact title of the act, but anyway, I'll get to that. But the CARES Act that was passed by Congress on March 27th and then signed by President Trump extended eligibility to unemployment insurance benefits for people who are self-employed and or who work as independent contractors, so that they would be eligible for unemployment benefits if they were unable to work due to COVID-19 or COVID-19 related reason. So if you were unable to travel because of the New York pause order, and your business had to close down because of the pause order, you would be eligible for unemployment insurance benefits under the CARES Act program. They refer to it as pandemic unemployment assistance. So not only did they extend the category of people who would be eligible for benefits, but they also provided an additional $600 per week for people who were eligible for either regular New York State unemployment or the special pandemic unemployment assistance. And the additional $600 a week runs from January 27th through July 31st, 2020. Another change they made was to make eligibility for unemployment insurance retroactive to January 27th, so that if you weren't able to apply because there was nobody to answer the phone or you couldn't log on to which was a very real thing, and also I'm sorry, also because of the delay in passage of the act, a lot of people may have lost their jobs earlier than the act was passed, so they allowed for retroactive application.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense because a lot of people I know got a big check this past week, and so it's probably something to do with either or they're finally caught up. But any one of these reasons would make perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. The number of people filing for unemployment insurance benefits was more than they've ever seen before, and because of the Pause Act, a lot of government employees were not at work. So the combination of those two things, not having the staff to actually process the claims, and then the number of claims that were coming in, and the newness of everything just created a tremendous backlog. So it took the Department of Labor quite a long time to process the claims.
Right. Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, look, for we were heavily going after the PPP, which is for the business
Mm-hmm.
loan program, and it was the same thing. Like, I mean, I consider myself to be highly intelligent. Your daughter is even more highly intelligent, and we cannot figure this thing out. I mean, we spreadsheets and calls, and I mean, it took up so much time. And then even when we applied, you didn't know if your application was received. It's just a total lack of any clarity, which is also not that surprising because the fact is the government tried to roll this out as fast as they can. And factually, they didn't have necessarily the manpower, the clarity, or even the resources. I mean, I know the PPP, it was like 1.5 trillion requested,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately they only had, a couple billion to give out. So I'm not great at math, but something there, they need better practices. Parentheses, the government. Yes, Sarah Katz, I agree. They're also listening right now, so you can tell them if you want. They're always listening. So talk to me a little bit more about unemployment. So for somebody that is having trouble figuring out the process, is there a number they can call? Is there a website they can go to? Like, what can they do if they
Sure.
can't get?
So the best thing to do is to go on the New York State Department of Labor website, and they have a special section for unemployment insurance benefits, and you can file an application online. There are instructions. They provide a list of documents you should have in front of you before you start the application process, so that you have all the information that you're going to need to complete the application at one time. The applications online are timed so that if you have to get up and go find something because you don't remember that particular answer, you may be timed out of the application, and then you'll have to start from the beginning. So it's best to read the instructions on the web page and then do the application after you've read the instruction. One of the other things that people that we see in our office that is a problem, people unfamiliar with unemployment insurance benefits don't necessarily realize that every Sunday night they have to go on to the Department of Labor website to certify that they continue to be unemployed the previous week. So that if you don't do that, you won't get paid your benefit for that week. You have to let the Department of Labor know that over the past week you did not work.
Does it have to be on Sunday, or is it just a recurring 7 days?
Well, they try to ask people to do it on Sunday or Monday and not to wait too long, because the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take them to get your benefits out to you for that previous week. So the benefits are paid on a weekly basis. So the longer it takes, and then if you don't certify by the end of the week, forget it. Then you have a break-in claim, and they want to know why, and it might be difficult to get that week back.
Okay. So ultimately, in summation, if you're out there and you want to get unemployment, or you couldn't figure out how to get unemployment in the past, you can still get that money. So go to the Department of Labor's, file a claim. You will get a retroactive. Lots of people I know got big checks in this past week. I'm guessing because things are being lifted, people are back to work, things are, they're catching up a bit. And if you do have unemployment, you receive unemployment and would like to continue to do so, don't forget to go to the website, to the Department of Labor, check in on Sunday, let them know you're still unemployed, so the check still keeps coming. Very cool. Let us move on to everybody's favorite topic in the world. Very exciting, very energizing. Dum, dum, dum. Taxes.
My favorite topic too.
So there's been all this extension, not extension, is unemployment tax. I mean, there's just so much. Let's just start with a high level. What's going on in the world of taxes? When they do? Have there been any changes? I'm just going to pass you the torch, and you feel free to educate us on whatever you think we may need to know.
Okay, so there, again, in the CARES Act and in the Families First Act, a lot of changes were made to our tax system to deal with the coronavirus pandemic. One of the major changes that everybody heard about was that every person, well, not every person, but most people in the U.S. would be eligible for an economic stimulus payment. It's referred to, the actual name is the economic impact payment. And what that is $1,200 per taxpayer. If you're married and filing joint, then it would be $2,400 for the two joint taxpayers together. Stimulus payment that was hopefully direct deposited into your bank account already. But if not, I have some information about how you can check up on that also. But basically, it was a $1,200 per payment plus $500 for every qualifying child that the taxpayer had.
So it's your income, or this is everyone that pays taxes?
This was for every taxpayer, every individual taxpayer or joint filing taxpayer, plus if you are not a U.S., if you're not a tax payer, if you don't have a filing requirement because your only source of income is Social Security, retirement or disability benefits, or VA benefits, or railroad retirement benefits, then you would also be eligible for the $1,200 payment.
Sorry, I mean, is there a tax limit? Is it like up to?
There is an income limit. If you're a single individual, I believe it's $150,000 for to be eligible for the payment. Between $75,000 and $150,000, they reduce the payment of a certain percentage based on how much income you're over the $75,000. But basically, you would be eligible for some amount of payment until you hit $150,000.
Correct. So good. I mean, that's what I was clarifying. It's meant to help those people that are sort of in a lower income bracket. If you make $1 million a year, like, you live with that $1,200.
Right, you're not going to get the $1,200. Also, you have to be a U.S. citizen. I'm sorry. The $150,000 is for married couples, the limit, and
Right.
$75,000 for individual taxpayers. $150,000 for married couples filing jointly.
Right. Very cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the stimulus, and then as far as taxes, what are the new deadlines, or what's happening?
So the filing deadline was extended, and the payment deadline was extended until July 31st. July 15th, 2020. So if you haven't filed your tax or prepared your taxes yet, you got to start moving on that, because you only have about a month left to go. So you have to get them filed by July 15th, and hopefully pay the balance if you have a balance due by July 15th. In addition, if you had tax debts from prior years that you were working with the IRS to resolve, they stopped most of the collection actions that they were taking against other, taxpayers until that time as well. So if you're in an installment payment plan, or working with any IRS personnel to resolve any tax issues, that's all been put on hold.
Yeah, no one's there. I mean, I got some stuff that I'm communicating with them about, and it's like they just
Right.
notices. I'm trying to get some clarifications, and it's like, sorry, come back later.
They're all home also, and the ones who have been called back really have been working on getting out the stimulus payments to people, and recently they've started processing powers of attorney. So if you have somebody who files a form that they're going to represent you before the IRS, they're starting to process those notices so that they can get ready to come back full force in July.
Right. Guys, for everyone watching, if you have comments, questions, tune in now. Sarah Katz just gave you guys a bunch of comments about how fierce her mother is around taxes. Sarah won 200. Actually,
I like pop quizzes too. So that's what doing these things is like, is to have a pop quiz in school. Yeah.
Oh, Sarah Katz once won $200 in Atlantic City and got the lecture of her life about making sure to claim it on taxes. What about receipts? Should, like, this is a question I always have. If I have a bank statement, 5 statements coming in, do I need to save receipts? Is that necessary?
So it's always good to save receipts, and to keep records. Absolutely. You don't know when the IRS may pull your return for audit. Most audits are done randomly. So there's always a chance that they may call you in and ask you just to document certain things.
Right. And if anybody was sick from COVID, I imagine you can probably get some sort of tax deduction around COVID now, right?
There are actually quite a few. So if you have employees, there are quite a few credits for employers. So employers are entitled to an employee retention credit, a paid leave credit, a paid sick leave credit. If they offer child care benefits or a child care leave to their employees and pay them during that time period that they're home with their kids, they would be entitled to a certain, monetary amount of credit for that as well. So I think the part of the purpose of the legislation that was passed back in March to deal with the epidemic and the pandemic was to keep as many people on payroll as possible. So they were giving a lot of incentives to employers to keep their employees on payroll while they were processing the PPP applications. So they were trying to keep that cash available to the employers to keep their people on payroll so that they wouldn't have to apply for unemployment insurance and have the problems that we saw.
Yeah. So guys, July 15th, you got about just over 30 days. Get your taxes in, get them done on time, be ready with your payments. In this country, I'm not from this country originally, but in this country, you do not want to mess with taxes. This is the last thing you want to mess with in this country is taxes, man. They'll let you kill people, but they will not let you miss.
It becomes very expensive also if you don't pay attention to your taxes, because the IRS by law can charge you interest rates on unpaid taxes and penalties for unpaid taxes that rival and surpass any interest and penalties you've ever paid on a credit card. So,
I'm sorry. And there's this one word in front of interest that I've learned. This one really sneaky, potent word called compound.
Compounding.
Compound interest is not all interest is created equal. Compound interest is not the same as regular interest. And people, you want to stay away from compound interest unless you're collecting it. Then you love compound interest. All right. So look, COVID's basically, it's not a political statement, but it seems like the curve is flattening. Maybe now there'll be a second wave with everything. Who knows? But one day COVID's going to be over. We're not going to be talking about it anymore than we talked about any of the other flus. And so, what do you see if you pull out your crystal ball? What do you see happening, to the future of taxes, the legal system, etc., post-COVID?
Well, that's a big question. I'm just still trying to get through this period because it's been so crazy. I mean, I've been through September 11th, through Hurricane Katrina, and the relocation of people from New Orleans and other parts that were hit hard by Katrina up to New York, dealing with them. But most of the problems that we see in our office, and then also Hurricane Sandy and the damage that was done to the Far Rockaways, particularly because I'm in Queens and dealing with Queens residents. Um, the main problems are always making sure people have enough food to eat, making sure people have adequate shelter. And I think in my line of work, those are our primary concerns. As to the rest of our community, I'm not really sure what the future holds in terms of taxes, and hopefully the reform that's happening now with the Black Lives Matter movement will make a more just tax system. A lot of it is based on receipts and being able to keep books and records, and we find that particularly among our clients, very difficult to keep adequate books and records. You don't have the money to buy the supplies to do that. You're unbanked. So hopefully a lot of those reforms will carry over.
Yeah, it's. I mean, listen, I could speak to that a little bit in terms of books. Like, I was an individual agent, kind of working hard, and then as I start to build a team, no one teaches you the kind of trouble you can get into if you don't keep proper books. Like, your focus in the beginning is just like, well, I want to try to save as much money as possible on taxes. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, now it's a business or an enterprise, or even an individual. So, if you're not managing the whole thing, and bookkeepers aren't cheap, QuickBooks isn't cheap at all. It's like it's secondary business thing, and it'd be nice to see what they could do around that. Okay, since you like pop quizzes, pop quiz. Other than, well, first I want to thank you for Sarah.
Sure.
I want to thank you for Sarah Katz. Without Sarah Katz, and Sarah Katz is a completely invaluable, irreplaceable part of my business and personal life. So thank you for that. Other than being maybe the world's greatest mom, we like to have time with the audience. We like to have fun. What's a fun fact? What do you love? What's a fun fact about it that maybe people don't know?
Smarter than Google.
Let's see, a fun fact. I took figure skating lessons for a number of years as an adult. That was kind of weird and fun at the same time. Yeah. So you don't see many adults learning how to do jumps and spins on the ice. And I did that for about 10 years. Yeah. And I used to be able to do jumps and spins and lots of tricks like that, but I don't think I can do them anymore. But that was a lot of fun.
You're not going to come on my show, come around me and talk about I can't. Not acceptable, Cindy.
Well, I haven't tried in a long time, so I don't know if I still can or not.
Do or do not do. Nobody wants to hear about trying. Sarah Katz says, Mom, tell them about the mud flaps.
It's a fun fact.
Yeah. So when Sarah and Jesse were little, we were driving on the Long Island Expressway, I think it was, and I commented on the mud flaps on the truck that was driving in the lane right directly in front of us, and explained to them how the Interstate Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution requires that mud flaps be the same or similar size from one state to the other, because you can't have a burden on.
Because they used to have to change.
Right, they would have to change when you cross state lines if they weren't uniform. So it created too much of a burden on interstate commerce. So now,
what comes up for me is like, why do you know that? Like, you really are smarter than Google. Like,
no, it was a case in law school. It really, yeah.
Okay, 10 years. Other than, by the way, you got a fan club here, Cindy. I love you, Sarah Katz. I see superhuman Sarah Katz. I want to see the jumps. Got a fan club here. What's that? Jamar says Sarah randomly told me about the mud flaps. Okay, pop quiz. In the next 10 years, if you could accomplish one thing that'd make you really proud, other than doing flips again, which now you're on my list, Now you're on my radar. What's the one thing you want to accomplish in the next 10 years?
10 years. So Sarah's dad and I, Terry, started taking ballroom dancing lessons about a year ago.
Another.
In April was a year, and we were interrupted by COVID-19 at the very beginning of our year, or not the very beginning, but toward the end of the year. COVID-19 interrupted us, and we haven't resumed our lessons yet. And I'd really like to resume our dance lessons and be able to show everybody how well we learned.
Nice. Well, this is a little bit of a shameless plug, but Val and Max from Dancing with the Stars, they have a dance studio, Dance With Me, and when COVID happened, they're doing a lot of virtual online stuff, so I'd be happy to put you in touch with their
Thank you.
I think that would be helpful. Okay, biggest learn. You have a lot of years on this planet, tons of experience, tons of knowledge. What's one thing that you will not be taking to the future? One big learn, one big wake-up call, one big...
that I will not be taking into the future?
What's an experience you've had or learn that you know you never want to do that thing again?
Smoke cigarettes.
Julie Lidbeck, are you listening? Are you listening, Julie Lidbeck?
I used to be a heavy cigarette smoker, and I quit doing that about 28 years ago. It was one of the hardest things I ever did was to quit. One of the things I'm most proudest of.
You should be. Me too. I quit smoking in
Other
2000.
than my kids. Sorry.
2006 I quit. So what's that, 14 years now?
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Any final tips, final thoughts, final anything?
So if you have any questions, if you haven't received your tax stimulus payment yet, you can go on to the IRS website. Right on their homepage, they have links to information about how to get your payment and frequently asked and answered questions about your payment, and what to do if you haven't received it yet, and how to check to see when you will receive it. So if you haven't received it yet, please go on to that page.
Very cool. Cindy Katz, you are lovely and wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. Sarah, I know you're back there. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks, everyone.
Guys, have a great day, everyone. Cindy, see you later.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.